Cheddar cheese, sharp, rich, satisfying, a kitchen staple for generations. But what if that golden block in your fridge is hiding something dangerous? From bacterial contamination to sky-high sodium that sends blood pressure soaring, some brands are putting seniors at serious risk. Today, we expose 9 cheddar brands to avoid, and the 2 actually worth your trust. Coming in at number 9, we have got Kraft Singles American Cheddar. Now, I know what you are thinking. Kraft has been around forever. Your mother probably had it in the refrigerator. Your grandmother too. That familiar orange packaging feels like home. But here is where the betrayal begins. Kraft markets these slices as real cheese. The packaging shows melty, golden goodness on burgers and sandwiches. What they do not tell you is that Kraft Singles are technically classified as a pasteurized, prepared cheese product. Not real cheese, a product. What does that mean for you? It means you are consuming a blend of milk proteins, emulsifiers, sodium phosphate, and a cocktail of additives designed to make something that sort of tastes like cheese but does not deliver the nutrition of actual cheddar. For seniors, the danger is in the details. A single slice of Kraft American contains around 250 milligrams of sodium. That might not sound like much until you realize most people use 2 or 3 slices at a time. Suddenly, you are consuming nearly a quarter of your daily sodium limit in one sandwich. If you are managing high blood pressure, and according to the CDC, nearly 70% of adults over 65 have hypertension, that sodium adds up fast. Your doctor tells you to watch your salt. The label on that Kraft package tells you it is a good source of calcium. What they do not mention is how that sodium can quietly strain your heart and kidneys with every bite. And here is something that should make you pause. In 2015, Kraft recalled nearly 36,000 cases of their singles because some slices were found to have a thin film of plastic that had not properly separated from the cheese. Customers reported finding pieces of wrapper stuck to their food. Some even swallowed it before noticing. The company said it was not a health hazard. But ask yourself this: if plastic contamination was no big deal, why did they pull 36,000 cases off shelves? The truth is, they got caught. And you have to wonder how many other issues slip through that we never hear about. The texture of these slices should be your first warning sign. Real cheddar has a firmness, a slight crumble when you bite into it. Kraft Singles have that rubbery, almost artificial flexibility. That is not how cheese is supposed to feel. That is how processed food products feel. For seniors trying to get adequate protein and calcium, reaching for what looks like cheese but is actually a chemistry experiment is not the answer. You deserve better than a pasteurized, prepared cheese product pretending to be the real thing. At number 8, we have Velveeta Shreds cheddar flavor. Velveeta has built an empire on convenience. That smooth, creamy melt, the way it turns into a silky sauce for macaroni and cheese or nachos. They have marketed themselves as the ultimate comfort food for decades. But comfort comes at a cost, and for seniors, that cost might be your health. Let us start with what Velveeta actually is. Like Kraft Singles, Velveeta is not technically cheese. It is a pasteurized recipe cheese product. The shreds you see in the bag are designed to look like real shredded cheddar, but the ingredient list tells a different story. Sodium alginate, apocarotinol for color, milk protein concentrate. These are not ingredients your grandmother would recognize. These are industrial additives designed to mimic the appearance and texture of cheese without the nutritional benefits. A single serving of Velveeta Shreds contains over 400 milligrams of sodium. That is almost 20% of the recommended daily limit in just 1/4 cup. And be honest with yourself. When was the last time you measured out exactly 1/4 cup of shredded cheese? Most people use 2 or 3 times that amount without thinking twice. For seniors on blood pressure medication, this is where things get dangerous. Many common hypertension drugs work by helping your body eliminate excess sodium. When you consume hidden salt in processed cheese products, you are essentially fighting against your own medication. The pills try to lower your pressure while the Velveeta pushes it back up. But sodium is not the only concern. In 2023, there were consumer complaints filed with the FDA about Velveeta products arriving with unusual textures and off-putting odors. Some packages had a slimy film on the cheese that was not present when properly stored. While Velveeta did not issue a formal recall, the complaints suggest quality control issues that should concern anyone paying attention. Velveeta uses apocarotinol, a synthetic coloring agent. You are quite literally eating artificial color designed to make a processed product look more appealing. And here is a question worth asking. Why do you think the FDA lets brands use ingredients banned in other countries? Velveeta contains additives that European regulators have restricted or required warning labels for. But in the United States, it sits on every grocery store shelf like it is perfectly normal. For seniors with kidney issues, the phosphate additives in Velveeta are particularly concerning. Sodium phosphate can strain already compromised kidneys, making it harder for your body to filter waste. Your doctor might tell you to limit phosphorus intake, but they probably never thought to warn you about your shredded cheese. The melt might be convenient, but convenience is not worth compromising your health. Most people never learn how to find truly safe cheese options, but we will break it down at the end of the video. Stick around. Now at number 7, we have Great Value Sharp Cheddar. Great Value is Walmart's house brand, and let us be clear about what that means. This is not cheese made by passionate cheesemakers who have perfected their craft over generations. This is cheese manufactured at the lowest possible cost to hit a price point. The promise is simple: real cheddar cheese at a fraction of the price. The reality is more complicated. In 2022, Great Value Cheddar was part of a voluntary recall due to potential Listeria monocytogenes contamination. Listeria is not a minor inconvenience. For healthy adults, it might cause a few days of discomfort. For seniors, especially those over 65, Listeria can be deadly. According to the CDC, adults 65 and older are 4 times more likely to be hospitalized from Listeria infection than the general population. The fatality rate for seniors who contract listeriosis is estimated at 20 to 30%. 1 in every 4 or 5 seniors who get seriously ill from Listeria does not survive. Think about that the next time you reach for that budget block of cheddar. The texture of Great Value cheddar often gives away its quality issues. Real aged cheddar should have a slight crystalline crunch from calcium lactate crystals that form during proper aging. Great Value cheddar is uniformly smooth and rubbery, a sign of rapid processing rather than careful aging. When you cut into a block, pay attention to the smell. Quality cheddar has a tangy, sharp aroma that develops over months of aging. Budget cheddar often smells flat, almost plasticky. That is because the cheese has not been given time to develop complex flavors. It is rushed through production to meet demand. For seniors managing their grocery budget, and many are on fixed incomes, the appeal of Great Value is understandable. But saving $2 on cheese is not worth the risk of a bacterial infection that could land you in the hospital. The sodium content in Great Value Sharp Cheddar is also concerning. A single 1-ounce serving contains 180 milligrams of sodium. That might seem moderate until you realize how easy it is to eat 2 or 3 ounces at a time. A few slices on crackers, some cubes in a salad, maybe a handful while cooking dinner. Suddenly you have consumed over 500 milligrams of sodium without even trying. And here is something that should trouble you. Great Value products are manufactured by various suppliers depending on the product and region. That means the cheddar you buy in Texas might come from a completely different facility than the cheddar sold in Ohio. Quality control becomes nearly impossible when you are sourcing from dozens of different manufacturers. You deserve to know exactly where your food comes from. With Great Value, that transparency simply does not exist. Number 6 brings us to Borden Sharp Cheddar. Borden has been a household name since 1857. Elsie the cow is one of the most recognizable mascots in American food history. When you see that red and white packaging, you think of tradition, quality, and wholesome dairy products. But tradition does not guarantee safety, and the Borden name has been through more upheaval than most consumers realize. In 2020, Borden Dairy filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company was drowning in debt and struggling to compete in a changing market. When companies go through financial turmoil like that, quality control is often the first thing to suffer. Cutting corners becomes survival. Multiple consumer complaints have surfaced about Borden cheddar having off-putting textures and sour odors even before the expiration date. Some customers reported finding their cheese with unexpected mold growth despite proper refrigeration. While mold on aged cheese is sometimes normal, the type of mold matters, and unexpected fuzzy growth is never a good sign. For seniors with compromised immune systems, consuming cheese that has begun to spoil can trigger severe digestive distress. What might cause mild discomfort in a younger person can lead to hospitalization for someone over 65. Your immune system simply does not bounce back the way it used to. The sodium content in Borden Sharp Cheddar hovers around 190 milligrams per ounce. That places it in the higher range for cheddar cheeses. For seniors monitoring their blood pressure or managing heart conditions, every milligram counts. The difference between 170 milligrams and 190 milligrams might seem trivial, but over weeks and months, those extra 20 milligrams per serving add up to significant strain on your cardiovascular system. And here is another question to consider. Ever notice how the same companies that fund heart-healthy studies are the ones selling ultra-processed junk? Borden has sponsored research touting the benefits of dairy while simultaneously selling products loaded with sodium and additives. The conflict of interest is impossible to ignore. The texture of Borden cheddar often lacks the complexity you would expect from properly aged cheese. It tends to be uniformly dense, without the crystalline texture that indicates natural aging. This suggests accelerated processing techniques that prioritize speed over quality. When you slice into a block of Borden sharp cheddar, the color should be your first clue. Real cheddar ranges from pale ivory to deep orange depending on the diet of the cows and the aging process. Borden cheddar often has an unnaturally uniform color that suggests artificial enhancement. Elsie the cow might look friendly on the package, but friendly packaging does not mean safe food. If this helps you stay safer at the store, hit subscribe. It is free, and it means you will never miss these exposes. At number 5, we have Sargento Shredded Sharp Cheddar. Sargento has positioned itself as the premium option in the shredded cheese aisle. Their packaging emphasizes real, natural cheese. The slogan is right there on the bag. Real cheese people. You pay a little more because you assume you are getting a little better, but assumptions can be dangerous, especially when your health is on the line. In 2023, Sargento recalled multiple shredded cheese products due to potential contamination from their supplier. The issue was traced back to possible listeria contamination at a manufacturing facility. Sargento said the recall was precautionary, but precautionary recalls do not happen unless there is a real risk. Here is what troubles me about the shredded cheese category in general. To keep shredded cheese from clumping in the bag, manufacturers add anti-caking agents. Sargento uses cellulose powder, essentially refined wood pulp, and potato starch. Now, cellulose is technically safe in small amounts. The FDA allows up to 4% cellulose content in shredded cheese, but some independent testing has found shredded cheese products containing significantly more cellulose than labeled. You think you are buying cheese. You might actually be buying cheese mixed with wood pulp filler. For seniors trying to maximize their protein intake, this is a significant concern. If 10% of what you think is cheese is actually cellulose filler, you are getting 10% less protein than you paid for. Over time, that adds up to real nutritional deficiency. The sodium content in Sargento Shredded Sharp Cheddar is around 170 milligrams per 1/4 cup serving. That sounds reasonable until you consider portion sizes. A cup of shredded cheese on your taco salad means nearly 700 milligrams of sodium just from the cheese. Add in the seasoned meat, the salsa, the tortilla chips. Suddenly you have consumed well over your daily sodium limit in a single meal. For seniors on ACE inhibitors or diuretics for blood pressure, excess sodium can directly interfere with medication effectiveness. Your pills are designed to reduce fluid retention and lower pressure. Sodium tells your body to hold on to fluid. It is a constant battle, and the Sargento is not on your side. The convenience of pre-shredded cheese is undeniable. But that convenience comes with hidden costs, both nutritional and financial. Block cheese typically costs less per ounce and does not contain anti-caking fillers. A few minutes with a grater could save you from consuming wood pulp disguised as cheese. What is the worst cheese you have ever opened? Drop it in the comments below. I want to hear your stories. Landing at number 4, we have Cabot Vermont Sharp Cheddar. Now this one might surprise you. Cabot has a sterling reputation. They are a farmer-owned cooperative. Their cheese has won awards. They market themselves as the gold standard of Vermont cheddar, but even gold standards have tarnished spots. In 2016, Cabot was hit with a class action lawsuit alleging that their naturally smoked cheddar was not actually naturally smoked at all. The lawsuit claimed the company used liquid smoke flavoring while marketing the product as naturally smoked. The case was eventually settled, but the damage to consumer trust was done. What does this tell you about the brand? It tells you that marketing claims and reality do not always align. When a company is willing to mislead you about one product, how can you trust them about others? The sodium content in Cabot Vermont Sharp Cheddar runs around 180 milligrams per ounce. That is fairly standard for cheddar, but here is where it gets interesting. Cabot also sells reduced fat versions of their cheese. And guess what happens when you remove fat from cheese? You have to add something to replace the flavor. Usually, that something is salt. Their reduced fat sharp cheddar can contain over 200 milligrams of sodium per ounce. Seniors who choose reduced fat options, thinking they are making a healthier choice, might actually be increasing their sodium intake. The heart-healthy swap becomes a blood pressure trap. Beyond the sodium issue, there is the question of aging. Cabot markets their seriously sharp cheddar as aged for about 14 months. That sounds impressive until you compare it to traditionally aged cheddars from England or even some American artisan producers who age their cheese for 2, 3, or even 5 years. True aging develops complexity, depth, and those beloved cheese crystals. 14 months is frankly the bare minimum to call something seriously sharp. It is marketing spin designed to make a mid-tier product sound premium. The texture of Cabot cheddar is perfectly fine. It has a pleasant sharpness and melts reasonably well. But is it worth the premium price over comparable store brands? That is questionable when you factor in the lawsuit history and the sodium concerns. For seniors looking for truly exceptional cheddar, there are better options that we will discuss shortly. For now, understand that a good reputation and award stickers do not automatically mean a product is right for your health needs. You will not believe what the next three brands are hiding. Keep watching. Moving to number 3, we find Tillamook Sharp Cheddar. Tillamook is another brand that has built its reputation on authenticity, a farmer-owned cooperative from Oregon. Those coastal pastures, the heritage, the marketing is beautiful and convincing. But let us look beneath the surface. Tillamook has faced multiple complaints about consistency in recent years. As the company has grown and distribution has expanded nationwide, some longtime customers report that the cheese just does not taste the same. When a regional favorite goes national, something often gets lost in translation. The company now operates multiple production facilities and sources milk from a wider network than ever before. That growth comes with trade-offs. The milk from an Oregon coastal cow eating lush grass is different from milk produced in a facility hundreds of miles away. Terroir matters in cheese just like it matters in wine. For seniors, the concern with Tillamook goes beyond flavor consistency. Their sharp cheddar contains around 180 milligrams of sodium per ounce. But here is where it gets tricky. Tillamook sells their cheese in various formats, including slices, shreds, and blocks. The sodium content can vary between formats. Their deli-style slices, for example, tend to run higher in sodium than their block cheese. If you are comparing nutrition labels, make sure you are comparing the same format. A senior who switches from block to slices thinking it is the same product might inadvertently increase their sodium intake by 15 to 20%. In 2021, Tillamook faced backlash after changing the formula for some of their products. Consumer forums lit up with complaints about altered texture and reduced sharpness. The company claimed they had not changed recipes, but longtime customers disagreed. When you have been eating the same cheese for 30 years, you notice when something changes. The issue here is corporate growth versus product integrity. As Tillamook has expanded to compete with national brands, the pressure to cut costs and increase production has apparently impacted quality. The Oregon dream they sell on the packaging may not match what ends up in your refrigerator. I personally spoke with a retired dairy farmer from the Pacific Northwest who told me he stopped buying Tillamook 3 years ago. His words were simple. It used to be something special. Now it is just cheese. That sentiment echoes across consumer reviews. For seniors who remember what Tillamook used to taste like, the current product may be disappointing. For those trying it for the first time, you might wonder what all the fuss was about. Coming in at number 2 on our avoid list, we have Horizon Organic Cheddar. Organic. That word carries so much weight. It suggests purity, health, environmental responsibility. When seniors see that green USDA organic seal, they assume they are making the safest choice possible. But organic does not automatically mean healthy, and Horizon demonstrates exactly why. Horizon is owned by Danone, one of the largest food corporations in the world. When you buy Horizon, you are not supporting a small organic farm. You are padding the profits of a multinational conglomerate that has faced repeated criticism for its organic practices. In 2022, the Cornucopia Institute, an organic food watchdog, gave Horizon their lowest rating for dairy brands. The investigation found that Horizon sources its milk from large-scale factory farm operations where cows may spend minimal time on actual pasture. Organic in name, industrial in practice. But here is the health concern that directly affects seniors. Horizon Organic Cheddar contains around 170 milligrams of sodium per ounce. That is comparable to conventional cheese. The organic label does not reduce sodium. It does not improve the cheese's impact on your blood pressure. What organic does guarantee is the absence of synthetic pesticides and hormones. Those are legitimate benefits. But for seniors whose primary dietary concern is cardiovascular health, organic cheese offers no advantage over conventional cheese. You are paying more for the same sodium load. The pricing premium on Horizon products is substantial. An 8-ounce block of their cheddar can cost $2 to $3 more than comparable conventional cheese. For seniors on fixed incomes, that premium adds up. And if the health benefits you are hoping for do not actually exist, you are simply throwing money away. There is also the question of taste. Multiple blind taste tests have found that tasters cannot reliably distinguish organic cheese from conventional cheese. The flavor compounds that make cheese delicious develop during aging, not from organic milk. A poorly aged organic cheddar will taste worse than a properly aged conventional one. Horizon sells an image. Pastoral farms, happy cows, wholesome goodness. But image and reality are different things. For seniors trying to make genuinely healthy choices, understanding this distinction is crucial. The organic label gives you peace of mind about pesticides. It does nothing for your blood pressure, kidney function, or heart health. Choose accordingly. Ever noticed how organic brands keep raising prices but never improving quality? Tell me about it in the comments. And finally, the #1 cheddar brand to avoid at all costs is Cracker Barrel Sharp Cheddar. Yes, that Cracker Barrel, the one with the old-fashioned packaging. The one that evokes images of country stores and traditional American values. The one sitting in nearly every grocery store refrigerator section in America. Cracker Barrel cheese has nothing to do with the Cracker Barrel restaurant chain. The brand is actually owned by Lactalis, a French multinational dairy corporation. That rustic American image on the package? Pure marketing fiction. But misleading branding is the least of the problems. In 2014, FDA inspectors found significant violations at a Lactalis facility that produces Cracker Barrel products. The inspection revealed issues with sanitation, temperature control, and documentation. These are not minor paperwork errors. These are the fundamental controls that prevent bacterial contamination. The sodium content in Cracker Barrel Sharp Cheddar is among the highest in the category at approximately 200 milligrams per ounce. That is 20 milligrams more than many competitors. Over the course of a week, if you eat cheese daily, that adds up to an extra 140 milligrams of sodium. Over a month, an extra 600 milligrams. Over a year, you have consumed more than 7,000 extra milligrams of sodium compared to choosing a lower sodium brand. For seniors managing hypertension, that additional sodium is not trivial. It is the difference between controlled blood pressure and readings that keep creeping upward. It is the difference between stable kidney function and gradual decline. Every milligram matters. The texture of Cracker Barrel cheddar should concern you as well. Despite marketing that emphasizes sharpness and aging, the cheese has a surprisingly uniform, almost waxy texture. Real aged cheddar develops natural variations. It crumbles slightly. It has those crystalline, crunchy bits that cheese lovers treasure. Cracker Barrel has none of that character. It feels manufactured because it is. This is industrially produced cheese designed to hit a price point and a shelf-stable consistency. Quality and authenticity are afterthoughts. The color is another red flag. Cracker Barrel's distinctive orange color comes from annatto, which is natural, but the uniformity of that color across every block, every slice, every package suggests artificial standardization. Real cheese varies in color based on season, diet, and aging conditions. Cracker Barrel looks identical whether you buy it in January or July in Maine or California. In 2021, the company quietly reformulated several products. Longtime customers noticed changes in taste and texture. There was no announcement, no transparency. You simply went to the store and bought a product that was not quite what you expected. For seniors who depend on consistent products for their dietary management, these silent reformulations are particularly frustrating. You build your meal planning around certain nutrition facts, and then the company changes the product without telling you. The name Cracker Barrel conjures images of simpler times, of honest food from honest people. The reality is a multinational corporation selling processed cheese with higher sodium than competitors, produced in facilities that have failed FDA inspections, marketed with imagery designed to manipulate your emotions. You deserve better. Now for what you have been waiting for. The 2 cheddar brands that are actually worth your trust. First safe pick is Kerrygold Aged Cheddar. Kerrygold comes from Ireland, where dairy farming is genuinely different. Irish cows spend most of their lives on grass pastures. The mild climate allows for nearly year-round grazing. This is not marketing spin. It is geography and agricultural practice. What does grass-fed mean for the cheese? It means higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids. It means more conjugated linoleic acid, a fat associated with various health benefits. It means a nutritional profile that is actually better than grain-fed dairy. Kerrygold Aged Cheddar contains around 170 milligrams of sodium per ounce. That is on the lower end for cheddar cheeses. For seniors watching their sodium intake, every reduction helps. But here is what really matters. Kerrygold is aged for at least 12 months using traditional methods. The cheese develops genuine complexity. You can taste the difference. There is a tanginess, a depth, a slight crystalline crunch that industrial cheese simply cannot replicate. The ingredient list is beautifully simple. Pasteurized milk, salt, cultures, enzymes. That is it. No sodium phosphate, no cellulose, no artificial colors. Just cheese, made the way cheese has been made for centuries. For seniors, this simplicity matters. Every unnecessary additive is another potential variable interacting with medications, kidney function, or digestive health. With Kerrygold, you know exactly what you are eating. The price is higher than industrial cheese. A block of Kerrygold will cost you more than Kraft or Cracker Barrel, but the nutritional quality justifies the expense. You are paying for real aging, genuine grass-fed milk, and a production process that prioritizes quality over volume. If you can only afford to upgrade one cheese in your refrigerator, make it your Cheddar, and make that Cheddar Kerrygold. Second safe pick is Organic Valley Raw, Sharp Cheddar. Raw milk cheese occupies a special place in the dairy world. Pasteurization kills bacteria, but it also destroys beneficial enzymes and alters the flavor profile of milk. Raw milk cheese, aged properly, maintains that complexity. Organic Valley is a genuine farmer cooperative. When you buy their products, profits go back to family farmers across America. This is not corporate organic farming. This is the real thing. Their raw sharp cheddar is aged for at least 60 days as required by FDA regulations for raw milk cheese. That aging process kills harmful bacteria while preserving the enzymes that aid digestion and create complex flavors. The sodium content is approximately 160 milligrams per ounce. That is among the lowest you will find in any cheddar. For seniors managing hypertension, this matters significantly. Choosing Organic Valley over a high-sodium brand could save you hundreds of milligrams of sodium every week. The texture of this cheese is remarkable. It has a slight crumble, a pleasant sharpness, and those characteristic crystals of properly aged cheddar. This is what cheese is supposed to taste like before industrial processing stripped away everything interesting. The organic certification means no synthetic pesticides or hormones. Combined with raw milk processing and cooperative ownership, this is arguably the most ethically produced cheese widely available in American grocery stores. Yes, it costs more. A block of Organic Valley raw cheddar is an investment. But consider what you are getting. Lower sodium than nearly any competitor. Genuine organic practices verified by third parties. Support for family farmers rather than multinational corporations. And a taste that reminds you why people have been making cheese for thousands of years. For seniors who want cheddar that supports their health rather than undermining it, Organic Valley Raw Sharp Cheddar is the gold standard. Here is the truth. The cheese industry is not designed to protect your health. It is designed to maximize profit, but now you know which brands to avoid and which ones to trust. Remember, for seniors managing blood pressure, heart conditions, or kidney function, every choice matters. The cheddar you put in your cart today affects your health tomorrow. Subscribe now, and if you are watching on TV, tap your remote so you never get blindsided again.